Give an update on some of these injured guys, Asante, Michael Davis, Justin Jackson.
Yes. So Asante is still in the protocol, but he's progressing. And I think that there should be an opportunity for him to start in a non-contact phase this afternoon. Justin Jackson progressing well. I think he's going to work into practice this week. Don't know if he's going to be available for the game, but we're definitely going to get him out in practice. And Vato the same way with his hamstring. He's still probably a week away, but we're going to try and get him out there and get him moving with the hopes of getting him back next week in the game. But he's progressing well, both those guys. And I think that Nasir Adderley, I think we're going to hold him out of practice today. He's really sore from the game, just trying to get his body back. Played a very physical game, so I think we're going to hold him out of practice today, but just soreness for him.
And then Monday you said that the early diagnosis was a torn ACL on Ryan Smith. Has that been confirmed?
Yes, it's confirmed. It's a bummer. Ryan, I was talking to him for the game. I can remember I was in Hawaii with my family, trying to recruit him as a free agent, and he just fit in so well with us. And it's one of those things. I know it's a part of the game, but just was playing really well for us. And he's going to be back. He's going to be back for sure. But he was playing really good football for us. Did a really good job in the game, and looking forward to getting him back. Yeah, Lowe should phase back into practice this week. He had kind of the ankle. Got better at the end of last week, and I think you should see him out there at practice, and he's kind of day-to-day.
Brandon, how do you feel like the duo of Drew Tranquil and Kaiser White have progressed from, obviously, since Kenneth's injury to now?
I think those two guys are playing really good football for us, and those guys play really well together. I think as a tandem, sometimes who your buddy is, that type of chemistry really matters too, because I think their play styles and their personalities feed off one another. But those guys can both play the game in the modern NFL like you need to. They can run. They're strong. They're assets in coverage. They both can rush. And they're our style linebackers. So I think that those guys are playing really quality football for us.
Considering the synergy there between those two and how well they're playing, sort of what's the vision for phasing Kenneth back in once he's ready?
Yeah, I think it's an important question. I think we're going to get all three of those guys playing football for us. And I think the good thing that we have going for us is that K9 is a special type linebacker. He can play a lot of different places, and he can do a lot of different jobs for you. And so he's definitely going to be playing inside linebacker for us, but I think we can get him on the edge at times and then get him in some hybrid roles in known pass rush situations. And that's what we've kind of been spending the time since K9 got hurt, is really formulating that thought process, that developmental plan for him, so that he can really excel for us, because he's a quality player. And this second half of the season, we're going to need him for us to be the type of defense we're capable of being. So I see all three of those guys being starters for us and being in leading roles for us, the second half of the season.
Brandon, I know you mentioned the formula drill in the Washington game, the formula drill in the Philly game. I know every game is different, but you see anything similar from those two games where you guys executed pretty well? And what have you been seeing in those moments you guys are doing pretty well as well?
Yeah, Gilberto, I think there are definitely some similarities from those two games specifically. We were able to do both things that you need to do in a 4-minute situation, which is run the football, protect the quarterback, and convert on third down. And I think that we were able to mix it up on those possessions. And I think that, both those drives sort of demonstrated those three things. We were able to, keep the defense guessing on those particular drives. We had different types of runs within different types of groupings. We had different types of passes. In the Philly game, I thought one of the underrated parts of that last drive was that second down to Austin, where we get him on a choice. It's, quarter half. He's kind of in that pocket in cover two, and then he's able to split that zone, make him, a guy miss, get a first down. And again, that keeps you out of the third down, right? You get a first down on second down, and you're activating a guy that's a matchup problem. And then what that allowed us to do was be aggressive, in that next set of downs. And I think that that's something that you have to do, is have that balance, stay aggressive. A lot of times in those 4-minute drives, if you're just trying to play it conservatively, if you're just allowing this defense to tee off on you, where you run, and then now it's a third down known pass, the crowd's in it, you can't hear anything, that's when those drives go sideways. And so we wanted to stay aggressive and have that balance, and I thought we did that. And then in the passing game, we were able to hit some key plays there, convert the third down, which we went on a quick cadence to Keenan, on the curl route, which I thought was critical when it was loud. Don't truly allow that crowd to get in the game, and that's what happened in Washington too, because remember we had 4 third-down conversions on that drive. A couple of those were a tempo into third down. We were able to keep the defense from getting set and really engineering their plan for that down and distance. And and then I think in those gotta-have-it situations, we converted 2 fourth downs, and then we split them on a run last week. So, those GTHI situations, do you have your best stuff? And I felt like in those 2 games we certainly did. I think the Kansas City game fits that description too, because that was kind of a closeout game too. It wasn't quite 4-minute, but in terms of closing the game out. So that's what we got to continue to do offensively and play as a team. And I think that both of those drives in the Washington game were reflective of a team offensive performance. It wasn't just, Justin putting us on his back. It wasn't just, hey, Mike or Keenan making some, freak catch out there. It was everybody touching the ball and everybody doing their part. And you can't say enough about our offensive line in both those games, because if you go back to the Washington game, that was the feared front coming off number 2 defense in the NFL, and we played well against those guys, and that's what happened last week as our O-line came ready to play.
With Kenneth, you mentioned putting on the edge maybe. Is that something that you thought about when you got the job here, or was it something that you've seen since you've been here and you realized you maybe could use it?
Yeah, Jeff, since we got here, I think he kind of fits that hybrid model of player, a little bit like a Dante Hightower, that style of linebacker where he's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. He's got that body type. But what we wanted to make sure that we did, there's kind of a progression of doing that, because when you're kind of playing 2 different positions, that can be a lot for you. And so you have to do that in a sequence where the player's ready for that. And I think that there's been enough time elapsed where you can feel like you're good with that, because he has a good enough foundation in your system. And so I think that was always the vision for us with him, was to get him doing a lot of different jobs for us, because he's capable of that, and him attacking the quarterback, attacking the line of scrimmage, but also being an asset as an inside linebacker where he's sweeping, and playing behind the ball and running things down and playing in coverage too. And so that's part of the beauty of coaching, is figuring it out for your players. And sometimes it takes some time. We're always after it. As coaches, me, Nadi, Mike Wilhoit, Johnny Timu, all of us that are coaching him, is finding that sweet spot. And sometimes it takes some time, and he's been patient with us. And I think this has been I hated to lose him for that, amount of time, because he could have definitely helped us out there. But I think he's ready to come back and show us his best stuff. And I'm really excited to get him back out there.
Brandon, you used the term bush to describe part of your protection plan. What does that mean?
Fancier way of another way of nudging,
Chipping?
Yeah, chipping. Yep.
What stands out to you about this Vikings receiving core?
They're really good. I think from a tandem standpoint, Cooper and CeeDee Lamb, those guys really stood out to me when we played them. These 2 guys are of that caliber. These guys are true route runners. I'm talking about these guys are technicians. These guys can really, really separate. And they can move around within the formation. I've gone against Adam a long time. This guy's got a great NFL story, Mankato State or wherever, Division II, and now he's one of the top wideouts in the league. And when I was in Chicago with him and Stephon Diggs, it's like, man, here we go. These guys are really, really good. He's been doing it for a long time. He's still doing it really at a high level, and now he's taking this young guy under his wing, and Justin's an outstanding player. They can move wherever in the formation, and they can run any route. That's the thing about both of these guys, is they're legit inside-outside route tree guys, and they both can run. They're both 4.4. So, they're a very difficult tandem to deal with, and their passing game's reflective of that.
How have they gotten better since the season began?
I think that, Shelley, offensively, what they've done a good job of, because they've had some injuries. Irv Smith's a heck of a player, the tight end, the guy from Bama. I got a lot of respect for his game too. They've kind of figured it out at tight end and how they want to play. And what they've done is they've really been able to feature those 2 backs, because I think Madison's a heck of a player, guys, when I was in the division. And then Denver, we played him. This guy's fantastic. And then Dalvin, such a amazing runner, dual threat guy. And then to be able to pair those 2 with these 2 wideouts, and then they've kind of figured out those 3rd and 4th wideouts, as they've gone when they're playing 3 receivers. They just have really developed an identity in how they want to play the game. And I think that's established itself so far. And they're a very difficult cover. And then they've been able to get, their first-round pick back on the O-line. And since he's been active, it's been a lot better for them too, because they have a quality left tackle now. So just a very, very good offense overall.
What are the hallmarks of a Mike Zimmer defense?
Really physical, very, very physical. They don't give up very many big plays because they're extremely sound. And then if it's a passing game, he's one of the top third down architects in the history of the game. And I think that when it's known pass, this guy's as good of a defensive coach as there's ever been. And that's the truth. Wherever he's been, whether it's Minnesota, Cincinnati, you go back, a long ways. This guy he's stood the test of time. So they're outstanding with their disguise plan, the variety of their pressure packages, their variety of rushers. He's a secondary coach, and you can see it by the way they play against the pass. They always have been. And so, this guy's as good as it gets as a defensive coach in the league.
When you look at Dalvin Cook, what makes him such an explosive running back and kind of tough for a defense to scheme against?
He can see, and he can get to top speed really quickly. And his top speed is faster than yours most of the time. You look in the data from Florida State, got more 60-yard runs than anyone in NCAA history. This guy's got real gas, and he's not a build speed runner. This guy can get to top speed fast. And most of the times when you're playing against a guy that has that type of juice, you're saying, okay, well, what's his vision like? What's his pace like? Is he in a hurry? Is he one of those guys that just feels fast and doesn't have the pace? This guy's got real pace as a runner. He's got pace, he's got vision, and then when he sees it, he's gone. And you can see it on film. Like, you're just holding your breath sometimes, like, oh boy, there he goes. And then he's a big-time factor in the screen game and the receiving game. He's a complete runner that way. And, he's as good as there is in the league.
We asked Justin. Go ahead.
Is he one of the most dangerous running backs in the screen game because he can quickly get up to speed?
Yes, and the big thing about the screen game, too, is setting up your blocks, allowing your linemen to get where their landmarks and their assignments are, and then hitting it. It's kind of like a zone play in a way that way. Like in 2019 when we played him, you guys can look this back up. Like when we played him in 2019 Denver, there was a crazy stat analytics-wise. Like his screen production was it was incredible at that time. And he was leading the NFL by 1,000 miles. And that's just a big, it makes him even that more dangerous because he doesn't have to carry it to hurt you. And it's a very inexpensive play for an offense. There's not a lot of risk involved on a screen, and it can go a long way. So just a very dangerous player.
Brandon, when we talked to Justin Jones right now, he felt like Linval Joseph is underrated when it comes to defensive tackles. That brings a smile to your face. What do you think about that?
I don't know how he could possibly be underrated for those who watch the NFL. You guys are all watching the same film I am, and he's 34 years old, and he had the highest miles per hour of any D lineman in the game on Sunday, over 16 miles an hour in the game, and he can run faster than that. Philly a couple years back, I think he hit 19 on that return that he had against them when he was with Minnesota. He's just a pro's pro. He's a force of nature. Okay, there's not many men constructed like him, but what makes him a true force of nature is his spirit and that competitive spirit that he has. He really loves the game. He loves to play. He loves to work. He's in the elliptical, grinding miles on Monday, sweating in a sweat jacket and making us all look just so mortal. You can't, as a coach, ever take it for granted. I know I don't. I tell the guys all the time, you're witnessing something special, and as long as you guys play, as long as we coach, you're going to be pointing out this example as a guy that does it the right way. He's been a real pleasure to coach. You got to, get veteran players like him that have played for, he's played for Mike Zimmer and Tom Coughlin, two really special head coaches. You got to join up with guys like that and gain their full respect. And I know that was a big goal of mine because I've had so much respect for him from afar. When I was in the division with him in Chicago, I mean, this guy was as good of an interior player as there is, you know, and he's still playing like that, and just really proud to coach him. And he's been an anchor for those young guys, you know. Not that Justin's a young player or Jerry, you know, those guys are in their third or fourth years, but he sets an incredible example for all of us.
What play did he reach 16 miles per hour on?
You know, I don't know that. I got the, you know, from Mondo and JB, I got this report, you know, it gives you that report of everybody in the game, Philly and the Chargers, and he was the top speed, you know, in the game, out of the D lineman in the game.
Did you have the double take when you saw that?
Not really, because he's usually he's like that. He loves to practice. I'm trying to make sure the guy is engineered for Sunday, because he's, you know, acquired a lot of mileage over the course of however many years, but he just loves to go out there. And he's got a big engine, man. You know, he's not one of these big guys that gets tired and then, you know, that you kind of see him run off and you don't see him for a while. Like, he runs off and then he comes back on quickly. Like and he's having a heck of a year, guys, rushing the passer. And we felt like he would, the way we play. And that's been an underrated part of his game as well.
Coach, as we reflect on Veterans Day tomorrow, I just wonder the impact a guy like Cole Christensen has on this program, just based on his past experiences and what he brings to your locker room.
Yeah, I love coaching that guy. Cole has been such a breath of fresh air for me every single day, because the way he works, the way he competes. He's been active, you know, for the Baltimore game and really played well in that game on teams. And he's a guy that we have full confidence in. I know in the preseason he had a really quality preseason for us. And I think that you know, this guy's made up of all the right stuff, and beyond just going to West Point and knowing what that place requires of you, or not knowing, but I mean, you know, we kind of all know you have to be a special something to graduate from West Point and play football there at the same time. Just as an NFL football player, he's just so professional in everything that he does, and he sets a high example of what it means to be a Charger, and we're really happy to have him. I know that he's improving, and he's a guy that, you know, when you're joining up and trying to build something, he's a guy you want to join up with.
Brandon, you spent a couple of years coaching in community college in Kansas. Maybe a little random question, but those couple of years in Kansas at the community college level, how did that kind of shape you as a person, as a coach?
It's one of the formative experiences, Gilberto, in my career. You know, when Amy and I was 26, going out there, and you know, Kansas is right there in the middle. Just put your finger right in the middle of Kansas, and that's where we were. That's where Hutchinson is. Learned a lot about myself. First-time defensive coordinator, and when I talk about becoming a complete coach, that's as impactful of a coaching stop as I had, because you're coaching all freshmen and sophomores, so they're young guys, come from really tough backgrounds, from all over the country, okay? The roster is like an NFL roster, 53. Okay, you've got 10 out-of-state players with 43 Kansas players, okay? So you're bringing these different people together, okay? And you're managing it, and you have 1 month in the summer before training camp, 1 month, and then they're out there playing games. And you really learn how to connect with people, relationships, how to teach and, you know, give these guys a plan to be successful, because they're out there right away and then they're going to school, and it's a big transition for them because they're far away from home and it doesn't look anything like their home. And so I was around a lot of really special guys that are the reason why I'm here today. A lot of people know Cordero Patterson, CP, Marcus Golden, Devondre Campbell, some of those guys, and then there's some other guys that you don't know about it, but it was a really special experience for me. I know that I grew a lot in those 2 years, and we were really good. And I still keep in touch with all those guys, and it's been fun to see them, you know, live their dreams. And it wasn't just those guys that are in the NFL. We had a lot of guys go play college football and make it, and graduate college and do something that no one in their family had done. And it wouldn't have. I would never have been as good of a coach without that experience. And you know, I look back on that with a lot of fond memories.
Brandon, in terms of the run game, what's the biggest improvement you want to see over the second half and maybe the next couple of weeks?
I think for us to be where we need to be in the run game is you need to be out of negative runs. You need to be out of that world of going backwards. You need to stay.
I'm talking run defense.
Oh, I thought you meant our running game offensively. Go again, rephrase.
Fixes you might want to see over
Oh,
the next half in
on
terms of the run
I think,
Stuff you saw in Philadelphia in terms of
sure.
maybe commonalities?
Yeah, I think that the number one thing that we need to address is trying to get more negative plays. Not trying to get, but seeking out the negative plays on first and second down that can give us more ops to rush the passer. I think that you can do that a couple different ways, but just being more aggressive on early downs to get negative plays. And I think that we're really learning a lot about our run front in terms of what fits them best. And I think the last 2 weeks we've really, I think, settled into how we want to play. And I think up front we're really getting into a comfort zone, and our second and third level into a comfort zone. And now it's just taking that growth and improvement to the game and being even more aggressive on first and second down to get those negative plays, because I think that's really what's missing right now is we haven't had very many of them. But those usually come when you're in that comfort zone of understanding, our formations, our technique, and then getting the right guys in the right positions, which I think we have now. And I think once we get those, then you're going to see an even bigger improvement in our overall defense. But I've been very pleased with how we've played the run the last 2 weeks against two quality running teams, and I'm really proud of the guys because they've worked really hard. And like I said, in the Philly game, you take those loose plays from the quarterback, and it's a different movie. And we need to do a better job, obviously, on the loose plays. But in terms of just the actual run front defense, we've made big strides the last 2 weeks.
Hey, Coach, how does Justin Jones make your defense more formidable?
What JJ brings is versatility in the run defense and in the pass rush front because he can move around. He gives you a little bit more penetration because he's got real quickness. And I think that he's a hard guy to deal with. Like if you look at the goal line when they were backed up on that second down, he can kind of split you because of his get-off. He's got real get-off inside. And then in pass rush, he's a guy that can really set things up for you in pass rush because he's got real feel in there from a one-on-one standpoint, and then when you're running picks and games, he's got a really good feel how to engineer that. And then he's got a motor. Like the thing about JJ that he really brings to the group is he brings a motor to the D-line. And like when JJ's out there, it helps everybody else because of his spirit and how he plays the game. And I think that since he's come back these last two ball games, you've seen our front play better because, just that competitive spirit that he has, he's a multiplier that way.